What's up everyone, welcome back to a brand new video. After all this time, the series now comes to an end, and this episode will be the final part for now. Last time, we got to see what happened in the Tournament of Power. The team was very different as you expect. Not only having characters from previous parts of the story, but completely new ones too that didn't show up before. With the introduction of these new characters, that'll definitely affect this story going forward, because now we're heading into the Moro arc. Since we do it with every video, let's hit a like goal of 3,500 likes for this one. Maybe I can make another what if inspired by this one. Hitting the like goal will let you know there's a lot of interest for that. Anyways, let's pick up from here and finish this scenario. So after the Tournament of Power, of course the Broly movie is supposed to happen, but here, there is no Broly movie. The explanation's pretty obvious. Broly's already part of the story. By now he's actually moved to Earth. Thankfully, nothing happens the same way it did in the movie. He gets to avoid getting beat up, and Paragus gets to live. There's no Freeza Force, no Chilai and Lemo, and obviously no Gogeta. And with Broly on Earth, that is going to change some things. You'll see later. As for the Namekians, by now they've all defused. In the last part I left off with a question. It was kind of a joke, but after thinking some more I realized that it would actually really change the outcome of this arc. I was asking whether or not the Namekians would all keep Ultimate. Remember, Nail got it while he was fused, and I was wondering if maybe they can all keep it once they defused. And after reading through the comments and deciding for myself, I was thinking maybe it would be better if Nail's the only one to keep it. It would make sense for only him to keep it after all. Only his latent power was unlocked and not really the other Namekians individually. They may get a passive boost from this, but they wouldn't have the same boost as Nail does. And you might be thinking, what's the point of this distinction? Well, it's actually pretty important because if you consider it, every Namekian having Ultimate would basically nullify this arc and make it not happen. There would be two outcomes. One, Moro would go to Namek and get absolutely devastated by all the Namekians there, or two, Moro would steal all of their power and become unstoppable, leading to the destruction of the universe most likely. So instead, I feel it might be more interesting to have them not get Ultimate. But Nail gets lucky and he keeps it. Anyways, the arc begins as you'd expect. Moro escapes prison and decides to make a beeline for Namek. The Galactic Patrol is scrambling to handle him. Of course there's no Boo to help them. And they're not too aware of any good fighters on Earth. Well, they know there are some, but a lot of them are gone by now. They don't know much about Broly, and while Roshi and Upa are strong, they're not strong enough to do anything against Moro, and the Galactic Patrol probably wouldn't know too much about them either. All the other strong fighters are off-planet and have been off-planet for a while, as discussed in the last few parts. When Moro's coming to Namek, all the Namekians actually sense him coming. Quickly, they try and formulate a plan. They think the Dragon Balls may be at risk, so right away, a lot of the Namekians help hide them, while the strong warrior Namekians, including Nail, all get ready to fight. The Galactic Patrol is also trying to pursue Moro, so while the Namekians prepare for him to arrive, they can sense that the Galactic Patrol is soon going to come and try and help them. Nail takes charge. Kinda like we saw in the manga, a lot of the warrior Namekians would probably want to fuse, that gives them the best shot at fighting Moro. And here the Namekian savior would be Nail. They've already all fused into him before, so it's kind of routine by now. Not to mention he'd be much stronger than the Namekian savior we saw in the manga. Although it's not every Namekian fusing into him, so he's not as strong as his Tournament of Power counterpart, but even if he's only half as strong, he's still way stronger than pretty much any fighter. He may actually have a shot against Moro. This becomes apparent once Moro actually gets onto the planet. The sole person ready to fight him is Nail himself. Moro doesn't really expect much of this Namekian. Sure, he knows some Namekians may be strong, but this one, he doesn't really seem like too much trouble, especially because it's only one of them. He quickly learns that that's not the case. Nail immediately attacks with extreme prejudice, ready to defeat him right away. Moro actually gets a bit injured by this, caught off guard by a couple punches from Nail. He's actually pretty surprised. He would have never expected a Namekian to be this strong, but there may be upsides to this too. Using energy absorption, he could benefit from this. He starts to take energy from the planet and Nail. Not killing Nail because he may have information about the Dragon Balls. Right now he just wants Nail out of the picture and to get a nice snack out of him. He plans to keep the Namekian alive. And while the Galactic Patrol hasn't contacted anyone, someone is watching this. After the Tournament of Power, Shin knows that the mortal level of his universe is pretty low, so he starts to pay more attention. This would most likely catch his eye. Not only is Namek under attack, but the person that's attacking actually seems pretty threatening. And something about the guy attacking seems pretty familiar. Shin doesn't know too much about Moro, but he knows that he's heard of him from the Grand Supreme Kai before. Although since it was so long ago, he's only heard stories. But from what he can gather, this guy is a pretty strong magician that can take people's energy. And while Nail may be pretty strong, Namek's gonna need some help. Luckily, Shin has some people on his planet that could help right away. Currently training with him, he has Krillin, Pikkon, and Tenshinhan. And while the magic may be an issue, Shin has a plan. Using his magic abilities, he may be able to work around it, at least providing support for the fighters. The fighters agree to go, and immediately they teleport over to Namek. They're not too sure how they're going to defeat him. Maybe these three fighters and Nail can help rough him up a bit, and then the Galactic Patrol can take care of him. But Shin remembers the Grand Supreme Kai said something about sealing him away. maybe Shin could figure out a way to do that himself. If so, that would be the simple solution, but he's not too sure how yet. He's gonna keep that in mind though. Now Moro is outnumbered and overpowered, pretty greatly overpowered too. But he sees someone that catches his eye. The Supreme Kai is there. Of course, now with Shin there, he'd probably be Moro's main target. But luckily the fighters are all able to hold him off. He tries to steal their energy, but then he notices something. He still can steal energy, but it's not as potent as it was before. Shin doesn't really know how to do it perfectly yet, but he's able to try and counter Moro's magic. Again, it's not something perfect, but it's enough to try and mitigate it at least a bit. If he does this long enough, then maybe the fighters can kill Moro. But the evil magician is much smarter than that. He realizes their plan and knows that he's gonna have to work around it somehow. And really, the only way to do it is actually to retreat. They're beating Moro pretty badly, and luckily for him he has an escape. He lifts his hands up, launching lava out from the ground below him. And as the lava clears, the fighters see multiple Moros flying away. There's at least a dozen of them, and no one knows which one is the real Moro. Moro and his apparitions all fly away, with the fighters wondering who they should chase down. Pikkon quickly charges up an attack and launches it towards the Moros, but when it connects, all of them disappear. None of them were real. The real Moro actually escaped elsewhere, keeping a low profile and running away instead of flying away. It's clear that they may need some more help. Luckily someone else was watching over, and someone tries to contact Shin. All the way on Beerus' planet, Kakarot is actually aware of what's happening, but Beerus and Whis waited to send him. They didn't want him to get involved right away, but now that things are getting kinda bad, they say that it may be a good idea. He asks Shin to teleport him there. He thinks he has a great idea of how to counter Moro. Shin immediately goes there, picking up Kakarot and going back to Namek with him. Kakarot's idea is pretty simple. He asks everyone if they remember that technique he had in the Tournament of Power, Ultra Instinct. Well, actually he's trying to work on that now. And it might be effective against Moro, as well as letting Kakarot test his power. They definitely remember it from before, but they're surprised. Can he even access that? He shows it off. After training with Beerus and Whis some more, he actually figured out how to access it at will. We even saw this before the Tournament of Power. When he was in the Room of Spirit and Time, he was really close to figuring out how to use it whenever. The Tournament of Power just gave him a bigger push as to how it feels. Combined with all his knowledge and experience, he can actually use UI Omen whenever he wants. It's still a bit draining, but the fact that he can use it at will is pretty helpful. But Nail senses something terrible. All the Namekians are in trouble. They hid the Dragon Balls, but somehow, Moro was able to find them all. He was able to quickly get some in his possession, and now that he's close to getting the final ones, they could actually sense him moving quickly. He's definitely trying to make haste. But by the time they all catch up to him, it's too late. Paranga's in the sky, and he already granted one of the wishes. Moro turns around grinning, now with a new look. His beard has shrunk, his wrinkles have gone away, and he's gotten slightly more muscular, not to mention his power's increased greatly. His former power has been restored. But even with this, Kakarot isn't deterred. He tells everyone to try and protect the Namekians, as Kakarot tells Shin to follow him. Moro is surprised. He hasn't seen this fighter before. He wonders what this guy's plan is, until he sees Ultra Instinct. Ah, a technique of the gods. This may be a worthy opponent, but even with that, Moro feels that he still has the upper hand. But with Shin there to help Kakarot, they definitely have the upper hand right now. Immediately, he begins attacking Moro. The gap in power is clear. Despite Moro's new power-up, Kakarot still has the upper hand. Not just defensively, but offensively too. Plus, Shin's magic mitigates some of Moro's, not just his energy absorption, but pretty much all his other abilities. Not that it completely nullifies it, but it's weakened enough to make a difference. Moro's pissed off now, but luckily help is coming in soon. Kakarot continues fighting undeterred, and just as he's about to finish off Moro, there's a distraction. A ship flies in, and Moro chuckles as he mentions that he had another wish. All the Galactic Patrol prisoners have escaped. And once again, Moro lifts a hand up as lava flies out of the ground, almost hitting Kakarot, but he dodges it, flipping backwards as he's surrounded by plumes of lava. The plumes go away and he sees Moro standing on the ship, commanding all the prisoners to attack. Even with this threat, the fighters are determined. Krillin, Tenshinhan, and Pikkon are all really strong. Of course, Nail's pretty strong too. Together with Kakarot, they're able to fight off a lot of the prisoners. Shin even gets involved in the fighting too, focusing on them, but they lose focus on Moro. And now with Shin under attack, he doesn't have to worry about his magic being mitigated. Moro begins taking their energy more and more. They power down during battle, slowly losing all their energy. They've already defeated some of the prisoners and helped the Galactic Patrol catch some. But if it keeps going like this, they're not going to win. Quickly, Shin teleports around grabbing onto everyone. Not just the fighters there, but also locating the remaining Namekians. They teleport out of there, landing on the sacred world of Kais, as the Galactic Patrol also scrambles to escape. Nail says that he has an idea. He can try and fuse with the remaining Namekians and that can make him stronger. He thinks that maybe fusing with more will really help, and he's not too worried. Paibara can help defuse him later. Krillin perks up when he hears this. Wait, that's actually an amazing idea. Nail thinks so too, as does everyone else. But Krillin says he's not talking about that. He's talking about Paibara. Maybe he could help. He remembers that the Yard Rats actually have some weird ability to take people's energy, just like how they're able to defuse Nail. Maybe they can consult him for help. Kakarot actually picks up on this too and realizes that it might work. He decides he's gonna go ask him, so Shin takes him to Yard Rat. Paibara welcomes Kakarot. It's been a bit of time since he's seen him. He wonders, is the universe at risk again from a tournament? Well, it's at risk again, but not from that. Kakarot explains the situation, and Paibara understands. He's willing to help, although he personally can't go there and risk his life. If he tried to fight Moro and steal his energy, there'd be no way that could work. But he does have another idea. He'd be willing to teach it to Kakarot. Kakarot's surprised. He didn't even realize he could learn something like this. Well, yeah, if that's the way it works, he's down to do that. Things are seeming to get better. Since Kakarot's pretty strong right now, he's probably the best bet to actually get this. Shin considers bringing the other fighters here, but it's better for Kakarot to just have himself there as the only focus for Paibara. Shin has a separate plan. He's gonna go back to his planet and train the fighters there, trying to teach them magic. Sure, he might not be the best at magic like the Grand Supreme Kai, but this limited knowledge in it may be enough. If he teaches some magic to the other fighters, at the very least they can try and mitigate the effects of Moro like he did. Plus, it's a new route of power for them. It'll let them get stronger in a different way. As Kakarot begins his training, Shin teleports back to his planet. This is going to take some time though, and in that time, Moro begins going around the universe, mainly with his scouts going to find treasure. Of course, one of the big targets would be Earth. One day, Upa's training with King Kai, and King Kai notes that he senses something terrible heading towards Earth. Immediately, Upa goes to return, flying across Snake Way in a matter of seconds, quickly meeting up with Kami who teleports him back to Earth. Roshi's already at the lookout. He sensed this too. And even Chaozu came along. The three of them are ready to defend Earth. Moro scouts arrive, and right away Upa goes into Kaioken, and the three fighters go into battle. While Chaozu and Roshi aren't the strongest fighters, they are really helpful here, and Upa is pretty strong in his own right, especially with Kaioken now. As they are now, they're probably enough to actually defend Earth, defeating the scouts that came there. At least the first wave of them. These aren't the last of the scouts. The three of them are still on guard, and in a matter of days, more scouts show up, with some stronger than the rest. One of them is actually the leader of the crew, Saganbo. The three humans have a tough time fighting him, but luckily, they have another ally that comes in quickly. Broly joins in on the fight. After those other scouts showed up, they would be stupid to not contact him, and he's glad to help. It's been a while since he's had a real fight too, so this is some great practice. Immediately, the Saiyan clashes with Saganbo, having a clear upper hand. He makes quick work of the escaped prisoner, and tells him to consider this a message. Don't have any more of them come to Earth. Saganbo's angered, but then goes to leave. But before he does, he tries to launch one last attack at Broly. But together, the other three fighters jump in with him. Since there's not much else to do on Earth, they actually all train with Roshi for a bit. Obviously, Upa already has, but Chaozu and Broly are relatively new students for him, or at least honorary students, and they showcase their combined might against Saganbo. Quickly, the four of them all make the same pose, charging a Kamehameha, launching it towards the escaped prisoner, who's then easily killed by the blast. They successfully defended Earth, and Moro considers going after Earth himself, but he decides it's not worth bothering yet. Scouts can focus on the other planets for now. He's already lost a couple scouts from that planet, and it wouldn't really be worth it for him to go himself and try and take their energy. The fighters there aren't incredibly strong, and Earth is a little bit out of the way for him. He'll get to it later, so luckily for now, Earth is safe and off of Moro's radar, but he'll keep it in mind. Moro right now is trying to eat other planets and find Kakarot once more. Kakarot seems like the best source of energy. Eventually this would lead to some of his scouts getting to Yard Rat. Of course Kakarot would defeat them pretty easily, but this would mean word spreads to Moro that he's there. And Kakarot realizes that immediately he needs to leave. He thanks Paibara for his training. By now it's been about a month or so since he got there, and Kakarot's a pretty fast learner. He's gotten stronger thanks to spirit control, but also has some new techniques. He waves bye to Paibara, saying that now's the time for him to end this. Plus, it gives him the opportunity to test out another technique. He places 2 fingers on his forehead, locating Shin's energy. He finds it, and then using his new technique of instant transmission, he teleports to the sacred world of Kai. He tells them all that it's now the time to attack, asking Shin if he could take the other fighters to Moro. Shin says he'll come along too, but he can't do too much. If he dies, then Beerus would die. But he'll still be there as a support. He's just not going to be one of the main fighters. But the other 3 have gotten much stronger, not just from their training, but also learning limited magic. Kakarot wants them to hold off Moro as he goes to clean up the other planets, and he wishes them luck as he teleports away. Immediately, Kakarot begins going around the universe, going to any planets where he senses trouble. This is really simple for him. He moves so quick with his transmission, and with single attacks, he's able to wipe out all of Moro's scouts, hopping from planet to planet while doing so. And before he goes to join the humans and Pikkon once more, he has to make one last stop. He teleports to King Kai's planet. He wants to make sure that King Kai's okay, and he says that he is, saying that Upa even went to defend Earth. King Kai's been monitoring the situation, seeing what's been going on, and he's gotta say, he's pretty proud of Kakarot. Kakarot has spent a lot of time on Beerus's planet, but the two have seen each other in between, and King Kai does know of his progress. I mean, of course they would keep up to date with each other. Kakarot is basically his adoptive son, as well as his first and best student. Kakarot tells him that he's gonna finish this, with King Kai wishing him luck, but he tells Kakarot, no matter what abilities he learns, whether it's Ultra Instinct or Spirit Vision, there is still one thing he needs to learn from King Kai: being a better comedian. Kakarot promises to brush up on his comedy, but first, he's gonna have to protect the universe once more, thanking King Kai as he teleports away. Out on a remote planet, the humans and Pikkon are fighting a lot of the prisoners. It's not too hard to fight them. Shin's students are much stronger, but as they thin out the herd, one fighter stands out, named 7-3. But just before he attacks, Kakarot comes in, ready to fight him. Immediately he has the upper hand, then jumping into Super Saiyan God. 7-3 is confused. He didn't expect someone this strong, so instead he tries to reach for Kakarot's neck. Kakarot doesn't know what he's planning, so he dodges it, doing so with ease. 7-3 keeps trying to steal his power, but Kakarot won't let him. He knows this guy might be trouble, so quickly he ends it. With one attack he kills the android. And now with 7-3 defeated, most of Moro's crew is gone, at least a lot of the strong ones. It's now his time to fight. He's angered but not too much. He begins taking energy from the planet below him, also trying to steal some from the fighters. But as he tries to take energy from the fighters, something weird happens. It stops midway, as he gets into a tug of war with them. He's then kicked square in the face by Kakarot, who's now an Ultra Instinct Omen once more, as all the fighters pull the energy back into them. They learn just enough magic to help prevent this, and magic's pretty cool. They definitely want to learn more of it. I just realized that that's kind of an accidental pun. More of it, more it? Nah, you know what, ignore that, that's kind of stupid. Anyways, Kakarot is now the main opponent for Moro, and once again he has the upper hand, not only being much stronger, but also, Moro has less of his magic to utilize. Easily, Kakarot is dodging all of his attacks, as well as hitting Moro too. He begins wearing the Magician down, and Moro realizes that things are getting bad for him. Kakarot's worried that this guy's gonna get desperate, doing something really destructive, so he'll end this right now. He reveals Spirit Vision. He begins taking Moro's energy, not only returning it to all the planets where it was stolen from, but stealing so much that the Magician actually gets weaker. He keeps trying to attack, but as he gets weaker, he has an even harder time hitting Kakarot than before, and Kakarot only has an easier time dodging. All the energy is returned, and the only remaining energy is all excess, and Kakarot has the perfect idea of what to do with this. With this excess energy, he lifts a hand up, dodging all of Moro's attacks while he does this. All the energy forms into his hand, going to a small ball of sorts. He thanks King Kai once more. He's going to use one of his master's signature techniques. The energy he takes from Moro is warped into a small spirit bomb of sorts, but a modified version that Kakarot made himself, thanks to the help of Spirit Vision. It's a deadly combo. The energy he needs to fuel a spirit bomb is actually energy that he's forcefully stealing from Moro. And Moro sees this. Kakarot then throws a small spirit bomb towards him, opening his mouth ready to eat it. But he then feels an odd sensation. His snout is closed shut by Pikkon's magic. With Krillin and Tenshinhan's magic, his arms and legs are restrained, as Shin also tries to paralyze him. Moro's eyes widen as he sees the spirit bomb get closer, bracing for impact as it makes direct contact. All of the energy flows right into him, being absorbed in the most wrong way possible. Everything goes silent, and suddenly, energy explodes in all directions out of Moro. Slowly, the evil magician dissipates. In a kinda ironic twist of fate, Moro was killed by his energy being stolen, with Kakarot there to claim victory. Far away, King Kai watches on, as well as Beerus and Whis. Beerus and Whis are glad it turned out this way, not only because they didn't have to get involved, but because it shows that their student is getting better and better. Hopefully he can fully master Ultra Instinct soon, and as for King Kai, he just feels more pride. Kakarot never ceases to impress him, not to mention, all the people around Kakarot have gotten much stronger too. The Earthlings, Pikkon, even Namekians now, and a new Saiyan too. All those years ago, King Kai realized that it was a good choice to direct his space pod here. It helped the universe in more ways than one. Not only is there a strong warrior now, but another strong comedian, and that pleases King Kai. And with that, we'll leave off here for now. So, what did you guys think about this finale? And what did you think about the scenario as a whole? Leave your thoughts and suggestions in the comments below. I'll be sure to check them out to see what you guys think. As always, if you like the video, be sure to drop a like. And let's also try to hit that like goal from the beginning of the video. If you haven't already, or if you're new to the channel, why not subscribe? As well as hitting the bell icon to get notified about any future videos that I upload on my channel, including more content like this scenario. With that out of the way, I'd like to thank you all for watching, thanks for supporting this scenario, and I'll see you all in whatever video comes next. Hopefully you all enjoyed, and goodbye for now.